Okay, so why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your involvement in the swine industry?
Yeah, I'm Ben Schmaling, Prescott, Iowa. Um, I guess I'm involved in the industry in a plethora of different ways. Starting with my career, I'm a strategic account manager for Zoetis in the pork business unit. Uh, Cover really kind of five large vet clinic resellers on the commercial side. I have about 30 show pig sows that I run with my wife and my two boys. And then also serve in some different leadership positions, including the Iowa Pork Producers Association Board of Directors.
Awesome. Ben, I think you have the most interesting background on how you got in your position now in your career. Would you mind sharing a little bit about your involvement, how you grew up, and then how you graduated from Iowa State and became a strategic account manager with Zoetis?
Yeah, so this could be really long or really short. I graduated high school in 2004. Um, Really, honestly, tried to go to school. It wasn't a good fit for me at the time. Ended up moving to Ames, Iowa as a 21-year-old freshman at Iowa State University. Just kind of packed up, left home, and said, I'm going to go do something else. I actually got a business degree from Iowa State. Was in animal science. Was very active in the College of Agriculture through Block and Bridle and Swine Interest Group and things like that. I did a lot of my internships, swine focused. Worked for the swine teaching farm while at Iowa State. Also worked at Swine Genetics International for a little bit, and was also the 2009 field staff intern for the National Swine Registry. So that's kind of what set up a lot of my connections to the show pig and grew that well in school. My brother and I started Schmaling Brothers Berkshires in December of '08. Bought a bred gilt at, I believe it was the Team Purebred Bred Gilt sale. Went to Belton the following year, bought three more gilts. And that's how the start of Schmaling Brothers Berkshires started. But my role with Zoetis, or Pfizer at the time, it would have been October of 2011. Doug Albright called me and said that Pfizer was looking for a husbandry educator. And what that was is someone to go into commercial swine barns and train caretakers on what a sick pig looks like and sick pig identification. So for 2 years, I spent time working in these commercial barns, training the caretakers on what sick pigs look like. And of course, then Zoetis protocols and whether to treat with Exceed or Draxxin, things like that. Did that for 2 years, and that moved into what they called a pork production specialist role, which was kind of a train the trainer instead of working with the caretaker. We worked with the field or the staff within those companies and taught them how to communicate effectively with their growers and get that message across of what in-barn caretaking looks like. I did that for another 2 years. That was a lot of like classroom or meeting room stuff. And then it kind of naturally progressed, and that husbandry educator, pork production specialist role really began to serve as a pipeline for the sales team for Zoetis pork at the time. So I moved into a regional account manager role there, did that for a couple years, made two pit stops, left Zoetis, made two pit stops, and I'm back at Zoetis for about 2 years now.
Awesome. I love the unique perspective that you were kind of an untraditional student or non-traditional student. So started college at Iowa State as a freshman, and you have now given a lot of your time back to the industry and supporting youth. Do you think that unique perspective that you gained being a 21-year-old freshman is part of the reason why you're so passionate about young people in the industry?
Yeah, I think that's kind of been what are my main themes and main focus when talking to kids who, whether they reach out for a letter of recommendation, whether it be a career or an internship, or just help them find a career. It allows me, based on my past experience, to kind of ask the questions, what or why do you want to do this? A lot of us have big ideas. We want to work for a big pharmaceutical company and we want to raise show pigs on the side, go jackpotting on the weekends with our family. But I think it's important to understand what your value drivers are and what the true why or your true passion behind what you think you want to do, and if it's actually what you do want to do. But
Okay.
I enjoy helping the kids and asking those questions and pushing back a little bit, just challenging them
Yeah.
just to see where their head's at.
So, can I ask you, as you're now a dad, an industry leader involved in the pork industry on multiple aspects, what's your why?
I think the easy answer there is my kids, and you know being a little older now and a little balder, and just seeing the industry through a different lens. Judging some, whether it's judging some shows or working with kids who are now in the workforce. Your perspective constantly changes about your why, and I think just being passionate about seeing the success that the kids that have been successful in the show ring and then being successful in the workforce, and kids that are successful in the show ring, whether it's at the county fair, state fair, jackpots, national shows, them becoming good employees of companies like the ones that I work for, or good leaders within state associations, is probably, finding new talent and young talent and helping those people and serving as a mentor to them is probably my biggest why right now.
I love that. And I'm guessing it will continue to change, but thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
So, one of the things you're involved in is the Iowa Pork Producers Association, and you've had a few different leadership opportunities there. Tell us your involvement.
My involvement with Iowa Pork started my senior year at Iowa State, and they had, at the time, it was called the Leaders of Tomorrow program. I believe it's called the Iowa Pork Leadership Academy now. But I was asked to be a part of that. And really what that serves as is an introduction to association stuff and committees, and to recruit involvement into state associations. So we spent a little bit of time really focusing on what is the Iowa pork economy look like, what are the opportunities within the Iowa pork industry, but then also how can you play a role in that, and getting introduced to those committees, seeing where they needed people was eye-opening, and then just getting to know some of the people on staff there. Of course, I had known some of the people through college that were working there, and it really just kind of really naturally progressed into different leadership positions. After participating in IPLA, that following spring, I was elected president of the Iowa Purebred Swine Council. Served in that role for way too long. We do not have term limits on the Iowa Purebred Swine Council. I served 12 years as president of the Iowa Purebred Swine Council. That was something that I was passionate about, coming from a state of Wisconsin where I would say things were probably more purebred show pig focused, and not to say that negatively about Iowa, but Iowa is kind of crossbred country. You see that evident in the numbers at the state fair and participation and things like that. So by no means do I mean that negatively, but trying to grow the purebred involvement in Iowa was kind of the driving force for that. The last 3 years of that was myself and Joe Eggers kind of starting the Verified Iowa Purebred program. But my time on the Iowa Purebred Swine Council kind of served as a conduit to the board of directors and getting a show pig voice on the Iowa Pork Producers Board of Directors. And currently, I'm just finishing up my 4th year on the board. Again, there is term limits there, but it's a 6 year 6 year deal. So hopefully 2 more years on that.
I don't know when it's a volunteer position like that. I'm not sure term limits are a thing, especially on Purebred Swine Council. If you do good things, they're going to keep you. So, unfortunately, you did really good things with the VIP program. So, um,
I'm still very actively involved. So
I'm sure they're not letting you get far.
yeah, I
Um,
don't think they've kicked me off the text message chain.
there you go. That's amazing. So, some of the things that Iowa Pork is doing is very impressive. What makes you excited about the impact that state associations and checkoff is making on pork producers, whether they're commercial or show pig producers?
Yeah, so Iowa is very fortunate, especially when it comes to checkoff dollars. And for some people that may be watching this that aren't familiar with checkoff dollars, but see it come out of their sales settlement on showpig.com, or whether it's that or a national show and sale where they take checkoff dollars out of your check. Those funds are used to those funds are dispersed amongst state associations based on the volume of pigs in each state. So Iowa being a leader in swine production in the state, at least numerically, we get a lot of those checkoff dollars to spend. So being a part of the Iowa Pork Producers Association is a lot of fun because we get to see a lot of requests for checkoff dollars from other state associations for new ideas on things they want to do, whether it be research or promotion and things like that. And a lot of the things that we're doing right now in Iowa revolve around research and promotion of pork. You know, one of the main factors as pork producers is we want to drive prices, but in order to drive price, we need to drive demand. And so we're doing a lot of efforts working with local grocery stores and doing some fun things trying to drive demand with promotions on ground pork, a lot of animal health research projects, of course. Being in the Des Moines area, we're close to Iowa State, a great vet school. We get to work a lot of research projects with a lot of great veterinarians and staff at Iowa State as well. And one of the coolest things we've gotten to be a part of the last 2 years is the Iowa Pork Producers Association was really the driving force and the genesis of the Purchase More Ham and Bacon campaign that went viral with the Iowa State football players the last 2 years, really. So that's been a lot of fun to be on the ground floor of that and kind of in the behind-the-scenes meetings of getting that kick-started and seeing what the staff at Iowa Pork has done, really growing that campaign as well and shining a positive light on pork production and eating pork.
Absolutely. And as an avid Iowa State fan, I have loved seeing the Purchase More Ham and Bacon. If you're not an avid Iowa State fan, like Ben and I are, is four Iowa State football players with the last names Purchase More Ham Bacon.
Hammond. Yeah.
Hammond, thank you. Hammond,
Yeah.
bacon. So how fun is it that we get to play on those words? And I think that's just an awesome opportunity of taking advantage of situations as they arrive and bringing them to the forefront of consumers because consumers want to engage in activities like that. They love to eat, and they know that pork is a great way to feed their families. So kudos to the Iowa Pork team and the Ben and those who were able to pull that off. It's been cool to see.
The staff did a great job with that campaign and really ran with it. It was awesome to see and just to hear some of the numbers of the impressions and impact that made. I mean, millions and millions of views positively for the Iowa Pork Producers Association and pork in general.
Absolutely. Okay, so you've been involved in Iowa Pork for, you said 12 years and now 4 years, so over 16 years?
Some of those were overlapping,
Overlapped.
so
Okay.
I would say we're probably at 14 years since 2010.
Okay, so since 2010,
50. Yeah.
what, yeah, now it's 2025, so 15
Yeah.
years you've seen the pork industry evolve. What is the biggest change you've seen? And How is it exciting?
For me, I think this is an easy one, Lexi. Really, in the last 4 or 5 years, um, we've seen a big shift in mentality around the state associations, the National Pork Board, the National Pork Producers Council, and their willingness to invite show pig producers to the table to have conversations. There was a pointed effort made a few years ago to bring those people in and having a seat at the table. And as someone that was already serving in a state association, I was able to get in on kind of the ground floor and the genesis of that, because we're all, at the end of the day, we're all pork producers. And we all have the same vested interest in raising livestock, just determining whether ours are going to breeding stock, whether they're going to go to a boar pen, or whether they're going to go to slaughter and end up ultimately on someone's plate. But over the last 4 years, and continually more and more, and I think a lot of the people that will see this will notice, have noticed a bigger presence of National Pork Board or Pork Producers Council at some of our events, pushing some things, because we've learned that we all have a shared vested interest in safe, healthy pigs, healthy food, and just if everything's good, it's good for all of us.
And thank you, Ben, for being a part of those conversations. I know that it's ongoing, and it's really exciting to see the investment and the checkoff dollars that show pig producers are paying. They're coming back to benefit both industries, the industry as a whole, but the show pig and the commercial side of things. So that's part of the reason why we're talking today with the Show Pig Partnership and National Pork Board. So it's an amazing partnership that we're excited to continue to expand on. And with that,
Yeah.
I guess I'm guessing we can always use more people involved. What would you say to producers who are contemplating getting involved in a checkoff program like their state association? What's the best way to start their involvement, and why is it important?
Yeah. First, I guess first and foremost, I would say do it. Um, and I think again, it's easy to sit behind a keyboard and complain about the way things are done. It's another thing to come to the table with a solution, or at least to share your voice. And I think it might be overwhelming or seem daunting to someone, but I will tell you that in my time, in the last 14 years, we're always seeking people to share their opinion, share their voice, and to volunteer their time that have shared interests in the pork industry. The best way I think that you can do that is to reach out to your state association. And I would probably encourage you to check and see what kind of committees they have, what volunteer opportunities they have available. And I think it'll naturally progress from that. At least it did in my case, and I've seen it happen several times before. But don't be afraid to give them a call. They'll be more than willing to share with you where they could utilize your time and manpower or woman power to share your knowledge about pork, whether it's volunteering at the state fair, standing at a farrowing crate, talking to someone, a fair grower, about a sow farrowing or a pig's life cycle, or breeding or raising your livestock, or there's working at the pork tent handing out pork chop sandwiches or pork chops on a stick. There's a plethora of things to do and lots of committees to dedicate your time to.
Absolutely. So, what is next for you and your involvement? You said you have 2 years left on the Iowa Pork Board. Where else can we see you, and how can we support you?
Well, yeah, I have at least 2 more years on the Iowa Pork Board. I'm not sure what happens after that. After 6 years of me, they'll probably be encouraging me to see what else I can be involved with. I imagine I'll stay active on some committees. Currently lead the youth committee at Iowa Pork, as well as a member of the Animal Health and Well-Being Committee. There's a lot of stuff going on nationally that has a big involvement with show pig producers, with foreign animal disease preparation, and just a biosecurity, things like that. I'll stay actively involved with that, just because I've been in with it since a lot of its beginning. Other than that, you'll see me at the shows, standing up for show pigs and what we're doing and making sure we got a seat at the table with these state associations.
Well, I think that's awesome. And you have little kids coming up. Tell us the ages.
Grayson is 8, and Mac is 5, and
Okay.
we're getting ready to pull out Monday morning to head to Perry, Georgia. So,
Awesome. Well, I know they have a bright future in the show ring. So, best of luck. We're excited to see them over the next few years as they hit the ring. And good luck in Perry. If you could leave us with one piece of parting wisdom, what would you like to share?
um, boy, I would say don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to get involved. Um, each of us have a unique skill set, and together our skill sets are better than on our own. So find a way to bring your talent, your skill set to the table. It will be utilized greatly, it will be appreciated, and um, stick yourself out there, and people want to hear what you have to say, and want to hear. We all need solutions to the things that are going on.
I think that's amazing advice, and I think it's applicable for anyone in this industry at all ages, at all levels. So, thank you very much for spending some time with us today, and we look forward to seeing what's next for Schmaling Brother Berkshires. And thank you for your involvement in the Checkoff Association.